Welcome to the Tone Lounge Podcast, the definitive music industry and gear podcast with Jonathan Gilmet and Frank Fleckenstein.
What's up, guys, and welcome to the Tone Lounge Podcast. This is episode number 43. My name is Frank. I'm your host, and I'm joined today by Jonathan Gilmet, my wonderful co-host, aka the Duke of Voxington. And we also have a special guest today, Dave Friedman from Friedman Amplification. Hey.
Hello.
Welcome.
Sorry, I look
Great
short.
to have you. Yeah, no.
I'll do the
I'll try
same.
to sit up higher.
That's
there
also
you go. Even it out.
Yeah.
Sit lower, guys. I can't
Sounds
move
like a
my
good
camera,
plan.
so well, that's the way it is.
Yeah, no worries. No worries. We'll make it work. So you are located in California, correct?
I am. Yeah.
You are?
North Hollywood,
How-
California.
North Hollywood, California. How is the weather?
Today it is raining, which is rare.
No. Okay.
So
Okay.
rare.
Yeah. But usually it's a lot more friendly.
Yeah, it normally never rains almost.
Lucky you.
Almost never.
Lucky you. But you are not a native Californian. To what I could find, you were actually born in Detroit. Is that correct?
Yeah, Detroit, or a suburb of Detroit. Yeah, I grew up
Suburb
in
of Detroit.
I grew up in Michigan. Yeah,
Okay.
correct.
Correct. Yeah. So my sources tell me the truth.
I think by
and,
now you could find out anything you'd ever want to know about me.
Probably. And so what was there first? Your interest for the guitar or your interest for what happens on the inside of an amp?
Oh, that's interesting. Sort of simultaneously, sort of. I mean, I got into playing guitar, but then I was really fascinated by, I mean, I grew up in the 80s. So, we had a heyday of guitar players, amazing, call them guitar heroes of the day, And I was always, like intrigued by how they got their sounds, I was like, wow, ooh, how does whoever, Angus Young, let's say, get that tone? How does Eddie Van Halen get that tone? How does all these people get those sounds, I was always super intrigued by that. So that's what drug me into the whole world. Although, at first I wasn't really an amp guy, but I became eventually, yeah.
You became so.
But I was
first there
interested in the reason and how to do it, how to get it.
how to get it. Okay.
Yeah.
And then at some point, obviously, you decided to move from Detroit or a suburb of Detroit to Los Angeles. And
Correct.
what was the first thing you did when you arrived in Los Angeles? What did you work?
It's funny. I went to work for a company called Andy Brower Studio Rentals, and at the time he was pretty well known for carting all the famous studio musicians of the time, like Steve Lukather and stuff, around from session to session and setting up the gear on every session.
Okay.
Also, high-end instrument rentals and amp rentals, for all sorts of people,
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. So some like a full sort of service in the end. You're getting carted around, and then you have your amps set up and your setup made ready for you in the studio. Nice.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and of course, and this sort of started. Once I started working in that field, that sort of started me down the path of not necessarily playing guitar, and
Unfortunately, yeah. Got a quick question for you. Were you tinkering with amps before moving to Los Angeles? Like, had you had that bug yet?
A little tiny bit, but just on sort of on the outside. You know what I mean? Very very minimally.
Okay.
So you did that, but at some point did you sort of study electronics, or were you completely self-taught? Did you dive into it and just picked up?
I never studied electronics. It was all experience and learning from other people. Yeah.
Wow.
So it was. Well, let's go back a little bit. So I was doing this as an 18-year-old kid. Started working in that field, and man, I have a nice little echo in my ear here.
Yeah. Same. I don't know why, but the echo seems to be gone. It's like
now all of a sudden it's gone.
Oh, did it go? Yeah, I wasn't hearing it, so
I love how this stuff works.
I know.
I mean, I do my own podcast. I know. Sometimes it's like, why is that not working today?
Yeah.
But anyway.
Okay. Anyways, so you never got into like studying electronics, but you picked up things by working with other people and looking what other people are doing.
Well, that's where I was sort of going. So I started. So I'm working at this company. And they had a guy that was building guitar systems for guitar players, and he left the company. But I had been watching him because I was very curious about anything to do with guitar, of course. And I'm like, I think I can do that for you. It's really questionable. Like, how did I learn to solder and everything? I don't even remember now. But it's been so long. But I started building guitar rigs for guitar players, and this is the majority of my career was building guitar rigs for guitar players, and it continues to this day. We're still building guitar players' rigs, although it's a little less in this day and age than it was at one time. But yes, so I got involved with one of my clients was this guitar player Randy Jacobs, from the band Was Not Was at the time with Don Was, and he was from Detroit also, and he brought in a Soldano modified preamp to put in a rig, and it was modified by Bruce Egnater. He had modified the center channel on it, and I knew Bruce from Michigan, so I had some stuff as a kid done by Bruce in Michigan, and this thing sounded amazing. So I was just called Bruce up and I go, hey, I think there's a market for something here, and which wound up becoming the original Egnater guitar preamp, the IE4 guitar preamp.
Yeah.
So I was partners with Bruce on that at the time, and when we started working on that is when my amp knowledge started to, really I'd never been tinkering with things, but when I started to spike, and basically I would call Bruce my mentor and taught me everything basically. Yeah.
Wow.
I was just the guy kept asking and asking and asking, Then he had to tell me.
But as far as I understand, he is still up to this day a lot of people's mentor.
Yeah. Bruce has been out. It's funny, Bruce. I told Bruce that, and he goes, "Well, yeah, but my mentor was Paul Rivera."
Wow.
It goes down. Down the. I don't know who I'm going to mentor, but I wish there was someone.
Yeah, at least someone. I mean, do you have kids?
They're not interested.
No.
Yeah, I have lots of kids, but they're not interested.
Okay.
Well, I have 3 older girls, and they're not interested. And then my son, who's 14 now, he's not interested.
No, really?
Nah, it's not. He doesn't play or any. Well, he tried to play, but he didn't. Nope.
Okay.
Doesn't it suck though? Like I have 4 kids, and only my youngest started to pick up the guitar about like 3 years ago. I'm paying for guitar lessons, and I'm basically like trying to reroute him towards a guitar because he has the PS5, the internet. He's got all this shit that can distract him from playing guitar. So now try to imagine trying to get your kid to look at an old stinky tube amp and say, well, I'm going to show you circuits and how they work. And your kids are like, seriously, on their phone, you know? It's like, I
had him taking some lessons from an amazing guitar player too, a friend of mine, Jordan Ziff, who's a fantastic guitar player, just ripping. And I'm just sitting there like going, why am I even paying for this?
Yep.
Okay, so there's a long line going back to Paul Rivera of teaching sort of like the maybe not the next generation. So Paul Rivera and Bruce Egner are like somewhat the same age.
No, actually, Paul's considerably older, I think.
Really?
Yeah, Paul. I'm not sure how old he is at this point, but I think he's reasonably really old at this point. I'm not exactly sure, but they might be 10 years off.
Okay, well,
so
10 years. That's something.
Yeah.
And so when you did all these complete setups for certain guitar players, did you do that with, like, for example, switching systems that you constructed yourself, or you had stuff from like third party?
No, mostly third party at the time. Party. But I mean, there was times before, the commercial release of really good power supplies that you were making your own, and drilling and hand drilling boxes and hand drilling stuff, and I drilled a lot of holes over the years. And the funny thing, doing this kind of work is you always are modifying something.
Yeah.
For the purpose of the artist or something. There's almost always something. It's just like, all right, I guess we could do that to it, and then it'll work for our needs, modifying something for your needs specifically, and it's like nothing is sacred. It always gets changed some fashion or another.
Because one other person that comes to mind that did a lot of those racks was Bob Bradshaw, obviously.
Yeah, correct. He was the OG guy for that, and then I was the whippersnapper that came in and pissed him off.
Oh, you did?
We're friends now, but I'm pretty positive I pissed him off early on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's like, if you're the guy and if you're the guy and somebody comes around and, messes with your throne, possible.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how he looks at it now, but I mean, we're friends now. It seems to be we're friends now. So, I mean, we're friendly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
and
then
I'll give him props. He was the guy. He was the first. He was the one. He was the guy that started all that, really. Switching systems didn't exist before him.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah,
I certainly remember the times. So when I started in like working in the industry, small family-driven guitar store in my hometown. It's like that's what everybody was talking. That was in '98. That was everybody was talking about. Everybody was talking about. It's like, if you need a switching system, there's no way around a Bradshaw. And people who had the money paid the prices because over in Europe, that stuff was like very expensive.
Yeah, sure.
If even possible to get.
Or you had the English equivalent, which was even more expensive, Pete Cornish.
Yeah, Pete Cornish.
Pete Cornish. Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. That was.
I have a quick question about the difference between the rigs you used to build back in the 80s versus now. Like back in the 80s, for anyone that's not old enough to know, there were these big fridges filled with rack gear, right? You had complex routing, you had MIDI, you had all this stuff. Is it less of a pain in the butt to work on current rigs versus the old stuff, or has it switched the other way around?
Interesting. how the rigs have changed. Well, they've kind of morphed over the years, but actually, funny thing now is things are kind of going a little more rack oriented again. It's sort of interesting. I mean, it kind of went to all pedals for a long time, and that still is a big part of it. And then, unfortunately, now we have modelers. And I say unfortunately because it really is unfortunate because yes, I understand the purpose of them. I understand, but it's not better.
Yeah.
There's no way it's better. But, or we have like hybrid systems where people are using pedals with their modeler or using the modeler for effects and still using amps. Maybe direct though. So it's just coming a little bit back more to rack oriented stuff, especially for a touring, a larger scale touring person.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you'll see racks with a bunch of axe effects and stuff. I always find it funny because, we're going to save on weight. We're going to save on this. We're going to save on that. And then they build these behemoth racks around all the things. And I go, I don't really know you really saved anything.
No, not really.
I'm not really sure you saved anything. But I mean, like, for instance, we just did some rigs for Steph Carpenter from the Deftones. And
I was going to say that. Yeah.
I don't know if you saw some of those. His rig is a complete hybrid of digital and analog, and came out really cool. We did 2 of those things. They're massive.
Wow.
Yeah. It was cool though, sitting in the shop. You just look at it, you're going, okay, that's cool.
Yeah, I've seen the rig rundown. It looked really cool, and like lots of attention to detail. And I mean, they're running so many different sounds from so many different eras of their sound that it's almost impossible to put that into like a tiny sort of box and let's try to make it happen. It's
Steph was fun because he loves gear. He loves his rigs. He likes to build rigs. He's built rigs for years with Bob Bradshaw and now me and supposedly he has all the rigs he's ever built intact. He never took them apart.
Damn.
Yeah, okay. Crazy collector kind of,
Yeah, that's what, I think he said something. So I met him. It's really a couple of years ago. Must have been 2016 or something when they were on tour. I was working at Positive Grid at the time, and we did a photo op because he was also promoting some stuff. And I was there when they did soundcheck, and then afterwards he explained to me all the stuff that he collected over the years, and just racks full of stuff, Marshall power amps, preamps from the early days, and then the amount of amps, and he really likes his stuff.
Yeah, he really likes his stuff. Yeah, it's definite. It's definite. Yeah, but we're still doing massive rigs and stuff. I mean, I also did rigs for Jerry Cantrell and Eddie Van Halen and Steve Stevens, and I've forgotten half the people I've done rigs for. To be honest, if I have to sit here and think about all of them, I'd be like, oh yeah, that one. Oh yeah, that one. Oh yeah, Don Felder. Oh yeah.
I came across a very, at least I consider it a very fun fact. So moving forward in 2008, you decide to start your own amp company, and the fun part is it was initially called Marsha Amps.
It was. I initially. Well, I don't know if I was ever intending to make a complete massive company at this point, but we started off, I thought it would be cute to call it Marsha, because so many Marshalls had the L's knocked off of them over the years, or the last half of it knocked off. So I thought it was cute. That was cute until they sent a cease and desist order.
And that's the other part that I've read.
But that was cool too.
Yeah.
And then we just changed the name to Friedman. So
yeah, exactly.
Same font.
Exactly. I mean, in this that sort of stuff, usually goes always more towards, has more benefits for you because Marshall does this whole sort of, process, and it's obviously appears in the news and people are talking about it, but then they're talking about Marshall, but they're talking about you because the company that they feel like threatened by, so it always has like a positive. Did it have an immediate positive impact on your business, or?
That's a good question. I don't know. I mean, we always had people talking about that, or talking about the names of the amps, or things like that, which is always really just promotion. If they're talking about you at all, you're in the public eye. I mean, I was fortunate enough to have been doing these rigs for people for so many years that I had an avenue also to get these amps into people's hands, and put them in people's hands, and they already knew who I was, and they already trusted me, and that's a big factor. I mean, you can be a guy that makes the greatest amp in the world, but if you don't have any avenue for promoting that amp or getting into the right people's hands, I mean, it's useless.
Yeah,
it's useless. True. I mean, there's many people that have made great amps over the years that never got any traction.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah,
it's true. It's so many guys. I mean, there were a few guys from Germany that had sort of a run at some point, but they faded away as fast as they, were rising up. And others stayed. I mean, Diesel is still like a brand that people, have an affiliation with. But others just.
Yeah,
gone,
bye-bye. Yeah.
And bye-bye. And you've never ever heard of them again. So,
it's hard. It's not simple.
It's hard. Mm-hmm. It is very hard. You said, you can have the best thing ever, and everybody, there might be a handful of people that, this is the best thing ever, and they own it, but you need to get beyond these 5 people at some point.
When people, are the wannabe amp builders are going into business doing amps, I'm asked for my advice. I'm always like, do something else. It's not simple. It's not simple.
Yeah. This leads me to a question, because you guys just talked about like how some amp companies, they go the way of the dodo bird. And I'm thinking there are some companies that are kind of holding on to dear life, in the sense that we forget about them. They're still there. They still make money, but they're not being talked about. Like we talked about Rivera earlier. Rivera in the 90s were making some really killer amp. I have one here, the M60, which is stunning. But the thing is like nowadays, like, can you name very many players that are playing Rivera amps? Like I know the one dude from Slipknot plays them, but is it a marketing thing? Is it not being up with like the new technologies, not having a social media presence? Is there like a multitude of factors that make it so nowadays that a company would kind of go unnoticed?
I think there's a multitude of factors. Yes. I think what it really, really starts with though is the sound.
Okay.
And okay, you like your M60 or something, and that's a stellar amp for you.
Yeah.
But in the history, I'm not saying they haven't made decent sounding amps, but in their history, they've never really had one that was like knock it out of the park that everyone truly loved. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think it all starts with the sound, and you really have to have the sound, because the sound in the end is what really is going to keep the amp around. You could market the worst thing in the world to death, and maybe you'd have some initial success. But if it sucks, it sucks. You know what I mean? It's not going to get anywhere. Unanimously, multiple people need to go, this is the greatest amp ever made, or something like that. They always say that of the next amp that comes out, but you have to start with the sound. It's got to sound good.
Yeah,
it's got to sound great.
Yeah,
and it's got to do it better than most stuff.
Yeah, that's important.
Yeah. And then marketing, of course. Then you have to market it. But man, if it winds up being really good and it gets in a lot of people's hands, they almost do the marketing for you.
Yes.
In a lot of respects, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was about to say that. I mean, the VH4 became famous because, you know, some wife of a very important musician bought 3 of those and gave it to him as a birthday present, and suddenly it was talked about in the US. It became more famous in the US before it was famous in Germany, and it came from Germany. So it has, sometimes it's just works in those kind of ways.
Frank, who is that wife, and is she now single? Just inquiring. Because my wife doesn't buy me 3 of the same amp. I'm just saying.
I don't get anything good either.
Oh God.
No, not at all.
No.
Not at all. Not at all. So you released a very special amp this year, which is a tribute to Jose Arredondo, a guy who used to do modifications of many amps for a lot of players, and mostly of Marshall amps, as far as I'm aware.
Correct.
And it is so it's a tribute to the things that he did that obviously later had an impact on many others in developing certain sounds. And the family is involved as well. So his he passed away in
90,
some time ago, right?
Early 90s.
Early 90s.
Early
yeah.
90s.
Passed away.
94, I want to say. I could be wrong there.
Yeah.
And
the family's involved, which is nice. So it's a tribute
his
to him
daughter,
and,
his daughter Marisol, or Maria. I mean, she goes by a few different names. I had, when I was 18, I had an amp done by him. So I actually became, because I worked at where I worked, I became friends with him. And he was a wonderful guy. He was really cool. Great stories.
Great stories.
Great, just a wonderful person. And I had that amp for a lot of years, and then of course I got rid of it. I don't know why, but I did. And kicked myself for that one. But
we all have that. We all had that amp, that very
and I thought, after I got established and stuff, and there were elements of the designs and stuff that are incorporated into everything I do in some respects. Maybe just the sound. He was really the best at it of all the famous guys that were at least in Los Angeles or in US. He was the best. And it's funny, he didn't even play.
Really?
Yeah,
not
so
at
I've
all.
heard. So I've heard. Yeah.
No, he would just have a guitar hanging on the wall and just hit the strings, listening through the amp, and
Amazing.
I'm not exactly sure how that works, but that's how that worked. I did have a lot of players though that he could bounce things off of, and stuff.
Yeah.
And whoa. Stop. That's supposed to be on silent. It's funny, on newer iPhones they have the where it's the silence button is up next to the other volume buttons.
Yeah, it's true.
And at the top, and the thing is sometimes you are pressing the wrong buttons because you're doing it in the dark or something, and that's what you get.
That's what you get.
And that's what you get. Sorry, everyone.
No worries. No worries. When we talk about Jose, there's one thing that people always mention, which is when somebody announces, like, lists a modded Marshall, and then they say it has the Jose mod.
Yeah.
So in technical terms, I know what that is and what that implies, but if you had to explain it to a person in the most easy way, what the Jose mod consists of and what it does to the sound, how would you explain that to someone?
Well, I mean, which Jose mod?
Oh, okay. So there's more.
Okay. There's variations of it. So the amp that I did has all of them in it. So in its most basic state, he had a basic one called a 3-in-1 mod, and the almost all of the 3-in-1 mods, well, almost all of the Jose's I've ever worked on, majority of them are just the simple Jose mod, not the more elaborate one. Okay. So that is a kind of a lower, well, I wouldn't say low gain, but by today's standards, it might be considered lower gain. And what essentially it is they had, what he did was you would take a stock, say 4-input Marshall, right? Add a regular master volume between the EQ and the power amp, just like you would in a JCM 800. And then add an extra tube stage that boosts into the front end of this stock Marshall.
Yeah.
So that's basically it. So it would be like hitting that amp with a pedal or something, a boost stage. Now, what that boost stage, the recipe for that boost stage, that comes into bearing how it sounds and things. You would also have an ability to pull both, meaning jumper the channels. So you could blend in the bass channel like you would jumper on an old Marshall. So at its basic form, that's what it was. There was an additional thing that he would do with a push-pull master volume. And what that was 2 different styles of master volumes. One is the normal one, and one is a pre-tone stack master. It actually comes before the EQ.
Okay.
And in that push-pull amp, there is clipping diodes that are always in. So even when you're pushed in with the post EQ master, there's still clipping diodes doing something. Though I think at the time he thought they weren't doing much, but they're still adding a little bit of gain. In the out mode, it's considerably more gain and a sort of different tonality, a little more blown up on the bottom end, it's just more modern sort of sounding. And he described that to me, which makes a lot of sense. He described that to me as like, if you're playing in low volume, you want to use this mode because it gives you, more of that blown up loud amp sound. That's how he described it.
Okay.
It's funny, in the end, everyone runs it loud too, but
of course.
but that's how he described it. He goes, the other one is better if you're playing really high volume. And I totally understand that, because if you're playing, say, high volume, you're starting to get the power amp involved, and you're starting to push that, and there's a little distortion from that and stuff. You probably don't need all the rest, So that's how he described it to me. So and there were a couple other slight variations and things he did on the front end that I actually didn't include in that tribute amp. But almost all the standard great modifications I put in that amp. So you can run it with a little more modern switching. So some of what he did at the time was pretty archaic and not probably done the best way it could have been, or safest even. So we kind of fixed some of that stuff, Okay. So it's a little safer, a little bit better, and switches a little more efficiently. But yeah, basically it's, you buy that thing and you get all the mods in one.
The good thing is that the amp that you're offering, you can get at a much better price point, because if I look at, if you type in Jose Arredondo in Reverb, you're gonna have some really weird prices coming up.
You can't even really buy them. I mean, I know there is one on Reverb that looks pretty beat. There's a pretty one on Reverb, but it's like at 29,000 or something dollars. Which is, honestly, if one comes up, it's at least a $20,000 to $25,000 amp.
That's crazy.
Honestly. Is it crazy? I mean, I don't know. Is that crazy? I think that's kind of light on the money compared to what, say, a train wreck amp goes for, or a Dumble amp. Yeah, a train wreck amp goes for like $50,000, $60,000.
A train wreck?
Yeah, a train wreck goes for $50,000, $60,000, and then a Dumble is, sky's the limit on that one, it seems. $150,000. So, I mean, I think Jose is a bargain.
For dentists.
For someone, yeah. I mean, and the funny thing about those mods too is so he would literally put the mod on. He liked certain eras of Marshalls, and he would try to do it on those eras, but he really wouldn't pay much attention to the rest of the amp. He would just tack on the mod. So if, say, the amp didn't quite sound great to begin with, well, now it's a modded amp that's not quite sounding great. So there wasn't a lot of attention paid to the rest of the circuit of the amp and its health or anything, really.
Do you think that could be just due to the demand of the customers? Like the customer comes in, has got maybe not the best version of a Marshall, and then is asking him to put that mod in there, and he's going, well, that's what the customer wants. That's what he wants. So he didn't really look at it from a schematic perspective.
Or maybe he wasn't a player, so maybe then he didn't necessarily. What can function versus what sounds great is two different things.
Yeah.
So like maybe the amp is healthy in the fact it works, and it doesn't have any blatant issues. Doesn't necessarily mean it sounds good. So I think the fact that he didn't play, maybe that was a little bit of an issue, maybe.
Okay.
I don't know. He was a great guy though.
What I find interesting is that so here we have an amp that goes that in, at least in Europe, has a €4,500 price tag.
Mm-hmm.
And from what I've heard, at least Dennis told me a few things. I'm not sure. I don't remember the numbers, but the amount of pre-orders on this amp was very high. So a lot of people really are like keen to get their hands on an amp that costs €4,500 because it sounds good and because it represents something. Mm-hmm. Whereas the company that sort of started it all doesn't really get anything together anymore these days, it seems. Yeah. Other than Bluetooth speakers and headphones, party speakers, and all that kind of thing. What do you? I don't want to disrespect Marshall or anything, not like at all. But it's
nor would I.
No, but it's like I feel for some reason, you have a great product there, and it's going out, and people are like, they want to get their hands on it, and then there's this company that sort of set the roots in a way, and there's like, we haven't had anything good from them, and I want to say the past 10 years. And people are not really keen to spend their money on that stuff. So I wonder what you make of it.
They haven't really had a great designer since Santiago Alvarez left.
Okay, when was that?
Santiago. Well, he left and came back and then left again. So he, I don't even know when that was at this point in time. It's quite a while ago now that he left for the last time. He did the Slash,
the Appetite for Destruction amp?
He AFD amp, and he did, and he's the one that designed all the JVM amps originally, and then he did, he did the reissues of the Jubilees, I think, and he didn't do the 20-watt ones, but he did several other things too. He's a great designer. Now he has his own company and freelances and does freelance design work for a lot of people.
Okay.
So, variety of companies. But I don't know. You could say a lot of things. Why didn't Marshall get Eddie Van Halen when he was synonymous with playing Marshalls? This is I think the dumbest move ever.
Probably.
Ever. I mean, why not full tilt court that relationship? I don't understand. Yeah. But hey, that's who knows? We don't know.
Yeah, we don't know. It just seems weird that last year they promised, we are going to go back to what we originally were, like the company, and we are going to make guitar players very, very happy, etc., etc. And then 1 year passes by, and suddenly they come up with another Bluetooth speaker, but this time it's bigger. That's the only difference. Yeah.
Did they had the modified series? Let me ask a question. In Europe, are those amps actually out?
No.
In the public on the street?
No.
No, right?
No, not at all.
Because I'm wondering the same thing. I mean, we see them, and I see them here, like say Sweetwater Music here, which is a huge, massive company in the States, almost like Thomann there. All right, and I see them listed, but they're not in stock. Coming soon or something, it says or something. Pre-order now, but that's been that way since last NAMM.
Yes.
Really?
Exactly.
That's almost that's a year now.
Yeah.
So where
exactly?
I mean, I'm curious. I've only seen them in hands of influencer guys. I haven't seen anyone get one. So I'm not sure where that is. I don't know what's going on.
I have no clue. The only thing is that at NAMM they also came out with these pedals that are supposed to sound like the respective amps, like the Plexi and all the models. And we actually made fun about the fact that they sort of made the demo videos and they plugged the pedals into Plexis and JCM 800s, and then it was like, wow, it really sounds like a Marshall. Well, if you plug it into an amp that is essentially the same, how it's going to sound? It's not going to sound like a Fender. It's like
plug it into a Fender.
Exactly. Because the whole purpose of these amp in a box pedals is to like defenderize your Fender and make it more Marshall-y.
Right. Put it in front of a Princeton or something. Or whatever, Blues DeVille or something really cheap. Does it sound good in front of something really cheap that you might have as a kid, or you might not have a very good amp, but I did that when I came out with pedals like BEOD and all that stuff, and I go, literally that pedal will sound good into anything clean at all. I mean, like the worst solid state amp, you can tweak the EQ and it'll still sound good, Yes. Because the EQ is pretty wide ranging from dark to bright. So you can, if it's a bright amp, you can tame it. If vice versa, it works really well. Feels really good too.
Yeah, the BEOD is probably also the pedal that has been sort of, I don't want to say cloned the most, but a lot of people came out with like DIY PCBs on that one too.
Sure.
And it's but for some reason something's always missing. I've seen a few people put them together, and then they showed, I've just put this together, and then you see the YouTube, or you listen to the YouTube video, and you're like, something's off. I was like, it's weird, but it's obviously there has to be. I feel like if people get like these DIY PCBs, and they might be helpful, if you want to dive yourself into like the whole topic of like electronics and whatnot, and building pedals or maintaining your pedals if there is an issue with it, sure, do that, but don't expect to buy one of these PCBs, put it together, and then expect to have the same thing. It doesn't.
No. Probably not, So, but often things like that will often drive the people to buy the pedal. Then
that's right.
If they don't feel like that's, and then the pedal drives them to buy an amp, and then the cheaper amp drives them to buy a bigger amp. It's really interesting how that. I see this all the time. Well, I had the Runt amp forever, and it was really cool. And then but I really wanted to hear what a B100 Deluxe was like. So then they buy that, and now I got 5 of your amps. Like, good for you, yay! Awesome.
But what would you say? What would you say? Do you sell more? You sell more of the bigger amps or of the smaller amps these days, or is it 50-50?
Some of the smaller amps, probably sell as a whole more. But but we do sell, like, for instance, the Jose's been selling like crazy. The funny thing is that, that list was at one point in time when we started, I think it was at 1,900 people that were on the list. Now, that doesn't mean they're all going to buy it. That's for sure. I wish. But the funny thing is the list, I don't know what the list is at currently, but it didn't really go down that much. Even when we started shipping them, people kept adding on to it, So it'll be interesting to see in the end, what, like in a full year, where we'll be on how many sales.
Yeah.
I think we're averaging about 35% right now of the people that were on the list. But that list isn't changing that much, so it's so I don't or some people couldn't take it right then when we offered it to them because of financial constraints or something, and then could you put me on the back of the list, and maybe when it comes up again I can afford it. I really want it. Other people are like I just can't do it. It just they all wanted it first, and then
yeah.
I can't afford it. Yeah.
But how long does it take to build a Jose Arredondo head, like from start to finish? What would you say average?
Oh, that's a very good question on that one. We did try to make it so it was easy to build. I don't know what it came out to be in the end. I could tell you what it should be to build it. Now this is with starting with a stuffed PCB already. So it should be a couple hours.
Okay.
Maybe 3.
Wow.
So
probably more like 2 though.
So populating the PCB.
That's different.
That's different. Okay.
That's different.
Okay.
That would take a lot more time, but we treat that as separately because we build the amps with populated PCBs. We have the PCB as a separate thing.
Okay. Gotcha. So 3 hours.
3 hours, but that's already that's mounting transformers to a chassis. Putting the panels on, putting the pots in, mounting a PCB down into the chassis, and then wiring it all together. Because there's not that much hand wiring in that amp. That's why.
Gotcha. Okay.
But that doesn't necessarily mean, it just we're always trying to maximize how many hours it takes so we can build amps, and also trying, and the way we've done it too, the quality of the amp is real consistent from amp to amp.
Gotcha. Okay.
Hand wiring a whole amp is not consistent, and it's not always. There's mistakes. There's so many solder connections, and there's so much, and it's not that hard for someone to make an error soldering. Or didn't quite put enough solder on the one connection or something like that. There's always something. So hand-wired amps are not all that,
Yeah, But it's the same.
It's not that we're not using the same parts. We use the same parts on the boards as we would on a Handwire amp. It's all 1 watt resistors, US made coupling capacitors, all the good stuff that we use in any amp. It's just we've made it more efficient to put together.
Okay. Yeah, but it's the same with, I had a conversation with a buddy of mine who was talking about, 60s Strats, and in my lifetime, I got my hands on about 10 of those, and all of them pre-CBS, and 9 of those were great, and 1 was shit. It was the worst experience I had ever with a Strat. It was a 63, which is just proof that, not every guitar from that era was amazing.
Not at all. And it's funny because I'll even because I still work on a lot of amps and restore amps for people and things. And
okay.
It's funny. You'll get a 70s Marshall that you find a complete error in, and it's been that way from original, like the complete wrong part, way off, or a solder connection that actually wasn't soldered from a 1975 or something. and so this is the same thing. I mean, they dealt with the same things that we would deal with today, and yeah.
But I have a question about the whole concept of hand-wired versus like PCB. Why do you think guitar players have this idea in their head that hand-wired equals better tone, better amp overall? Is it just because they were ill-informed and just passed it on throughout the different generations? Or do you think they're maybe like amp techs are telling them that like hand-wired are best?
Well, I would tend to think absolutely the opposite, that actually, now this is the key factor. A properly designed and spec'd PCB is infinitely better. All the parts are in the exact same spot all the time. The length of a trace to something is exactly the same all the time. A hand-wired amp, okay. If you maybe arc a tube socket or something, it's easier to deal with and replace. But on the scope of things, it doesn't happen that much. This is not that common. And, I have PCB amps. I've had them for a long time. And, I can count on one hand the time that I've had to replace a PC board in an amp because of something catastrophic. And that's thousands and thousands of amps, less than, like 4 times maybe, so it doesn't really happen. And if you do the PC board right, there's none of it's not a cheap PCB. So it's not a thin PCB, and everything is supported. And even though the sockets are on the PCB, they're not getting any, it's a plated through holes and it's a thick board. The socket can't, no matter how much torsion and stuff you do on this socket, it's not going to break the solder joints. It's just not. Okay. It's not going to happen. And as long as you've done it all right, there's no heat issues or anything else either. And our power tube sockets are even though it maybe are on a PC board, they're mounted to the chassis firmly. So there's no flex on the boards or anything. So that, And there's lots of amps that have cheaper PCBs that have worked for a million years too. Like for instance, like a PV5150 amp. They've been around forever. And man, I've seen those things beaten to death forever, and they still somehow work. And if you look inside and you look at the boards, you're like, how does this still work? Because it's not good board. It's not a good anything. It's cheap. It's really cheap. But somehow they still work. So, can you change a pot quicker in a non-PC board amp? Yes. Can you still change a pot pretty quick in a PCB amp? Yeah, sure, you can. It's not that much more difficult. And I don't know. Do you want a hand-wired iPhone? I don't think that's possible. So, you know what I mean?
Yeah. The reason why I asked is that Frank and I really like to get people who know what they're talking about to bust like popular myths, just because sometimes it permeates. Like you'll see it on resale value of amplifiers. This one is hand wired, so it's like $3,000 more, right?
Yeah.
So you're like, is it much better? And I have amps here that are hand wired, but I also have like some Chinese made amplifier like the AC-15. And I've beaten the shit out of that amp. It's been shipped over in Belgium and then came back to Canada, and the fucking thing still works, right?
Yeah,
so,
sure.
So if it's well designed and, you don't beat the crap out of it and throw it off the roof of a, like a building or something, it should technically work for a long time, especially if you maintain it well. That's why I was wondering, like, why do some companies insist on making hand-wired stuff while others are just going down the PCB route?
Well, look, I mean, you look at in contemporaries of, shall we say, high gain amps, most of them aren't hand wired. In fact, I'd be one of the only ones that still does some hand wired. But for years and years and years, Bogner wasn't, VHT and or Fryette, later on they weren't, Diesel wasn't, I mean, maybe some little components were. I don't know. Well, those are the ones that pop into my head right away. And, those are still high-end things. And the fact of the matter is, if, let's say it takes 10 hours more to make the hand-wired amp with mistakes and things involved in that, the difference for 10 hours in someone that's just a wiring person, I mean, we're not talking about a ton of money here. Just because it's not hand wired is not really saving that much money. I mean, maybe that's saving $100, $150 or something. It's negligible, the money. It's not like, oh, well, it's not hand wired, it should cost $2,000 less or something. And I'm like going, what? How do you figure?
Yeah.
Here's the hard facts: is it really is $100, $150 difference?
And also, I mean, you can write and put a sticker on anything if you want. It's like, hey, this is hand built, this is hand wired. It's like, it always depends on the person who does the wiring.
Hand built.
And it's hand built, and we've hand wired this. Yeah, but if the guy that does the wiring doesn't have the skills, then you're gonna end up with an amp that's not gonna work or gonna work shitty anyways. So it's to me there's only an argument for like hand wiring if there's a guy that's a sort of proclaimed ninja of wiring.
I came out with the Plex amp, and I made that completely PCB, everything, pots and all. And that amp has been in videos compared to vintage Marshalls and things where you can't even tell. Can't tell a difference. I think Thomas Blug did a good one. I think I where he compared he compared that to a vintage amp, and it was just like it didn't sound really different at all. No different than any two amps would be. So that was cool. And then I have great clients that know, like Michael Landau has a Plex amp, and Michael Landau has a bunch of vintage amps, and he likes his Plex a lot, he compared to all his vintage ones he has. So
he's one of my heroes, man.
He was
this guy's just ridiculous. Yeah. It's just amazing. One of the most ridiculous players ever.
Yep.
Difficult to find someone who sounds even remotely like him.
Oh yeah, no, he's like from outer space,
Yeah, 100%.
For sure.
If you had the chance to work with like anyone, dead or alive, doesn't matter, who would it be?
Oh, that's hard. Jimmy Page, maybe.
Oh really? Okay. Well, he's still around.
He's still around. He's not dead. The reason I say that's hard is because I've kind of worked with everyone.
That's true. That's true. I know.
All the people that it's funny. All the people that I would watch when I was a kid, I wound up working for. So
that's crazy.
It's sort of interesting.
List checked.
Yeah, and then at one point in time, I restored Eddie Van Halen's famous Marshall. And
wow.
And then he said, and then the comment was, "That's the best it sounded in 15 years, or 20 years, or something." He said, and I was like, "Well, where do I go from here? What do I do now?"
Yeah, exactly.
That's all that's left.
Yeah. It's like a stamp of approval, man.
There was no, there's nowhere to go from there for me.
Yeah, 100%. Once you got that stamp of approval, it's
yeah, exactly. So that was great.
Done it.
Yeah.
I want to ask the question anyway. So, what is like? Obviously you can't go into like a lot of details here because you can't reveal a lot of things. But like direction wise, what do you want to do in the future? Where do you want to lead Friedman to the next thing?
I mean, I think there'll be more, naturally, there'll be more, we've done the IR pedals that we've done, the tube direct solutions that we've done. I think there'll be further development in that field, because I think that's a really cool thing. Those are great little boxes for anyone, even if someone can't have a lot of amps or can't have a lot of stuff, they can still have that at home and record with it and get amazing sounds and stuff out of it. And it is different than a modeler. It does react like a tube amp. So yeah. it has a completely different feel. And even if you're using it, I have some people that use it in conjunction with a modeler for effects and stuff. And they use, a hybrid kind of little, maybe they're using the IRX with the quad cortex, and they use the IRX for their amp sounds really. Because it's tactile, you want, I need more gain, a knob, it's done. I need more gain on the quad cortex. Oh, wait, hold on a minute. Got to page through the page or two. Okay, wait, let me get to the right page. Okay, there we go. Okay, yeah, that's better, I guess. Oh, no, I want to change the EQ a little bit. Where is it again? Oh, here it is. It takes a long time.
That's really the thing. That was a topic with a couple of buddies where we were looking at all of these we all developed in sort of different directions, like gear wise in the past 20 years, because we were doing different things, but we all have one thing in common. We like something that reacts in an analog way, and you can access it directly. You don't need an app. You don't need to go through like 1,000 menus in order to reach whatever you want, And
hold on, let me pull up the app. Okay, I got it up. Oh wait, it disconnected. What do you mean it disconnected?
Yeah, exactly, disconnected because Bluetooth.
Bluetooth. Forget about the Bluetooth apps. They always have issues. I think. I've experienced. Everyone's frustrated with it. If anything, just plug it in with a USB cable to a laptop if you're going to have to do this, because it's at least a connection, it's our whole life is full with, I forgot the password to this. Shit. What was the password? If I reset, your whole damn life is about resetting your passwords.
Yeah, it's terrible.
I think the most frustrating aspect is having to do these fucking updates all the time, like firmware update.
Exactly.
It's like it keeps going on, and sometimes they do the update and then the thing doesn't sound the same anymore. And you're like,
or it doesn't work.
Or it doesn't work. Brick walled, the thing is just dead, and they're like, sorry. You're like, okay.
Yeah, I know. Unfortunately, we've had to do some firmware updates, obviously, with our thing. I feel that anything we've done has only improved things. So, but occasionally you have someone, I go, I kind of liked it before. I go, listen to it a little bit more first.
Yeah, exactly.
Believe me, I don't release something unless I'm pretty positive that it's it's better, and I kind of unanimously with people it was better, you know. So,
are you ever going back to rack gear?
Oh, could be.
Could be.
I mean, further development in the space might mean something like that.
Might mean something like that. I mean, you were involved in to some extent because I mean, you are also involved in Synergy to some extent, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
I'm one of the and they do,
so to speak.
Yeah. So they did some rack stuff where you could add the modules into like a two module rack. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, there's a 2-module rack piece. I think there's more to come from them. You know, we have many modules with them. Probably will have more in the future. So I'm kind of a consultant for a lot of things. Then involved with the boutique amps distribution brands, so to speak.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nice. Before we end this, Jonathan always has a little funny game of rapid fire questions, and that's how we end every show.
But
it's a fun
just
thing.
Before we do that, I have a very selfish question to ask.
Oh. Okay.
What was it like to work with Jake Healy? I'm a massive fan.
Jake is a good friend of mine now. It's funny. It started off as someone. I think it all started off originally with a friend of mine that was already working with him through Fender and Charvel, and he's like telling Jake, "Hey, you should check out his stuff, and I got an amp right before he went out on his that Patina tour for the Patina record for Red Dragon Cartel." I got him an amp, and of course it left late, and it was supposed to get there on a certain day, and then they had so many days of rehearsals, and then they were going to leave, and so they didn't get it till the Monday they were leaving.
Oh.
And so I think it was a small box amp that I sent him, at first, and we're like, oh, what the really? Supposed to be there on like Friday or something, so they could rehearse the whole time. And so he finally he plugged it in like right before they left. And he turned everything on 10, of course. But, and he just like, oh, this is what I needed. and it was just like the dawning moment. He goes, yeah, this is great. So he took it on tour. So that's how that process started. And then it's like, hey, let's talk about 100-watt amp, and let's talk about what you need. And I kind of learned what he wanted, because he like literally runs like he was running on the small box, the Plexi channel with the volume on 10. So he was running it like a Plexi. He was running it like an old Marshall, cranked. And then the other channel was almost too much for him, too much gain, because if you're running it on 10, it's just a little too much. So then we wound up cooling that down to, on his 100-watt amps, he had an option for a higher gain boosted 800 or just an 800. Well, he would use just the 800 because he's cranking the master, and he just wanted a little bit more from the Plexi. So if you think about that, that is just a little bit more from the crank Plexi. So yes. So he was running, on tour in the clubs, he was running a 100-watt amp on 10.
Wow.
Yes.
So yes. No straight to the...
I don't know if you've seen his cabinets split, like he points them in a V. So he stands in the middle of the two, so he never gets it direct. And then one is pointing towards the singer, and the other one is pointing at the monitor guy. And he said, he goes, well, yeah, I do that. Well, it sounds really great right here for me, And he goes, and the one cabinet points at the monitor guy. He probably deserves it. And then he goes, the other cabinet points in the singer, and he definitely deserves it.
That's great.
And I'm like, okay. yeah, we've become good friends over time. So we kept developing products together, and maybe there'll be more in the future. I'm not sure yet.
Awesome.
He's awesome.
Amazing.
Every time I go to Vegas, I go see him, go hang out.
Well, thank you for that answer. And
Yeah.
I was expecting a rock star thing out of it, like the whole cabinet pointed at.
Yeah.
That's what I was expecting. Okay,
Yeah,
so here's my first question for you. So I went over the amplifiers that you have. Do you have any intention of doing a Vox style amp in the future?
Yes. Beginning of next year.
Okay, you got my attention.
What?
You have
Yes.
my attention. Awesome.
Our second amp in the vintage line.
Cool. Very cool. Okay, so you as a guitar player, do you prefer going straight into the amplifier or do you prefer using pedals before the amplifier?
Well, I mean, probably I prefer going straight into the amp. If you need, but I'm not saying I don't like pedals though. So if you want some colors and some things, then then a nice system built around some pedals would be great. Sure. But there is something, I do like stuff post, like delays, verbs, delays, things. I don't use a lot of verbs, mostly delays. Post, maybe a little pitch or something. So for years growing up, I would plug straight into an amp and had post effects. So maybe that is my preference more than, because there's an interaction that happens when the guitar is going straight in to the amp.
Yes.
And I always use the amp with a lot of volume knob and stuff on the guitar and stuff. So it really needs the interaction.
Same here. Yeah.
Direct interaction.
Okay, cool. Now, when it comes to amplifiers, is there anything that isn't Marshall based that you actually really enjoy?
Sure. I mean, there's Fender amps I really enjoy. I can't really see it in this picture. I have a brown face Bandmaster over here with a harmonic tremolo in it. It sounds amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a vintage, a high watt. Oh, it was a high watt PA head, but converted to a DR103. Amazing amp. Stevie Fratt did it for me actually because he's such a high watt fan. I go, hey, I got a little project for you. You want to convert this PA head to your favorite, whatever your favorite DR103 is, whatever circuit, because there was some variations over the years. He goes, yeah. And he did several videos with that amp, actually. It sounds like a god. Yeah, that's a great amp. And I have a copper top Vox AC30 also that is going to be the one I'm cloning. That has a top boost circuit added a long time ago by Mark Sampson.
Wow.
From the original Matchless fame. Yeah. So
good stuff.
So yeah, there's a lot of good amps.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
When it comes to cabs and speaker, do you have a favorite pairing? Like, let's say a 4x12 Marshall with greenbacks, or maybe a 2x12. Do you have like a specific combination that you
mostly
usually go for?
412s? I mean, mostly 412s because it's just better. It's bigger, it's better. Even if you're playing it at quiet volumes, it's bigger and better. You know what I mean? Like, it's just better. Greenbacks, vintage 30s, I like both. For different reasons. It depends on the style of music you're going for and stuff. Most of my stock cabs come with a blend, 2 greenbacks and 2 vintage 30s, which actually works out really well. Greenbacks in top, so the vintage 30s aren't close to your ears, and then vintage 30s at the bottom because they're a little more punchy. That combination's really good, actually, and it gives you a couple miking options too.
Yeah.
So, I mean, vintage Marshall-y sort of things. I mean, I'd probably go all greenbacks, but again, sort of depends on what you're doing.
Yeah.
But I'm a Celestion guy for sure. I don't really care for anything else.
I'm kind of the same too.
I mean, there's older Celestions I love, blackbacks, and like old 65 watt speakers are really cool. Not newer ones, older ones are really cool. So, yeah.
When it comes to innovation, products that are out there, is there anything that has been invented that you are like, I wish I would have come up with this? Anything that you have a reverence for?
That's a good one. That you might have stumped me on that one. I kind of like, I make amps like, it's like someone put it to me once. He goes, you make Ferraris. You're not making the Hyundai. You know what I mean? And I understand that. There's part of me that is sort of like anti-technology in some respects, but then part of me isn't also. So I don't think in general in my life I'm anti-technology at all, but there is a backlash that we were talking about, that you were sort of talking about the editors and the updating and the this and the that, and I just want to turn the gain down for Christ's sake. I just want to turn it down, and I don't know what page it's on. Or how to get there, or my editor's not working right now. I can't even get to it, and I can't do it on the unit or something. That stuff drives me insane. And it seems like the older I get, the less patience I have for it. It's really simple. Your amp too bright, you turn the knob down. Yeah. Okay. That's true. There's something to be said for that. And maybe new stuff. I mean, all this modeler stuff is fantastic. I mean, Quad Cortex did a really good job, and and Fractal for years has done a really good job at different things, and even the company Hotone makes wonderful little Ampero boxes that are crazy for the price. I mean, their effects in their boxes are really amazing, I think, because they've cloned things like boutique guitar players like an Arion stereo chorus. What big company would do the Arion stereo chorus? No. Or weird, Zen Drive pedal, which existed, and like different things like that. And they've done that in their little box. And I use those for effects a lot for people, and they work really well. There's more to come from them. I think they just came out with this reverb pedal that is a IR-based reverb pedal. So you can sample, and it's up to like some crazy length. Michael Nielsen was just talking about this, and you can sample. He goes, I can sample my PCM 60 and put it in there, and it sounds just like the PCM 60, and I can and I'm like, that's interesting. He goes, yeah, and it's really long. I can put a delay in there, and like it does it, and he goes, they have a couple fixes to do with the software, just rudimentary fixes that they need to do still, but when they do that, it'll be like game changing. So that's a cool company to watch. It's a cool company. It's a cool company to watch for.
Yeah.
Noted. And the product is actually extremely well made too. It's not cheap at all. Nothing about it inside is cheap. The Kodaks and the D-Days and everything they use are like probably better than most other more expensive things on the market today. So it's very interesting. I found
it the Verbera. Is that the one?
Yes, that's the one. There's one little weird quirk that is coming out in a firmware thing that they had to fix about MIDI presets or something. They somehow didn't. It wouldn't respond to MIDI presets or something. But
yeah, it looks great though.
But
looks good.
We'll see. We'll see how that goes.
So I have two more questions for you.
Yeah, go.
Is there a company you haven't worked with yet that you would love to collaborate with in the future?
Oh, collaborate with. Oh, that's interesting. I haven't collaborated with anyone really, other than Synergy, I guess, is a collaboration. I'm open for collaborations in the future. It's always a weird thing to figure out how to sell the product then. Mm-hmm. So like if you have two companies that collaborate, who is actually doing the physical sales? You can't be both. So one or the other has to do the physical sales, which would mean one company gets more money than the other company for sure. If they're doing all the rest of the logistics of it. It's always a difficult thing to figure that out.
No, I hadn't thought of it, but now that you bring it up, makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. I'm open to that, though. I'm open to that. We had a couple ideas about doing some stuff together with a few different amp guys I've talked to. Be an interesting thing. I don't know what would come out of it.
It would almost be like you would have to pay the person first as a consultant, and then they help you design whatever piece of gear. And then after that, maybe they get royalties or points or whatever. I don't know how it works on the piece of gear, as opposed to, let's say, they sell 50 units, you sell 50 units, and then you kind of split the money up.
Yeah, no, I can't really. One company has to be the marketing and sales.
Yeah,
and you would have to treat the other person as almost like how we treat an artist. We do artist signature amps, and they get X amount percent of every one sold, and that's how you would have to treat that. Okay. It's mailbox money for them, though. It's easy.
Yeah. Okay, and here's my last question. I ask it of every guest that we have. It's the famous desert island rig. So your favorite guitar, favorite amp, and maybe like a select few pedals. What would that look like for you?
Probably, I have a famous 50-watt Plexi Marshall that I own that I modeled the Plex after. Probably that amp with a great 4x12. I have a vintage 4x12 here that's great with black backs. Probably that one. And pedals, I might not need much pedals. If I just had that amp and a Variac. I would be okay. But if anything, maybe some way to do some delays or something. Maybe use a Friedman power station with it and put maybe SDE 3000 delay in the loop of it.
Oh, yeah.
How's that?
Yeah.
That would work great.
Good one. And
that's
good
it.
One.
Amp, Friedman power station, SDE 3000 delay. There you go.
I'd be okay with that. What would be your guitar? Yeah.
Oh, probably I have one Strat that I like that is it's a 50s road worn Fender Strat with a humbucker in the bridge and 2 single coils.
Wow. Okay.
And probably that because it does a lot of stuff. That would make sense to me. I could say one of mine too. I have a bunch of my own guitars, but sure. I really like that one particular guitar.
So no rack mount gear.
Yeah, SDE 3000.
SDE 3000.
Technically, a Friedman power station would probably be rack mounted if I had the delay.
Yeah. Okay. I stand corrected.
Other contenders for rack mount gear might be a Lexicon PCM 42, fantastic delay, or Yamaha D1500 delay. Good one also well. Great ones.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, leaves us to thank you very much for taking the time to talk with us and share some insights and some stories. It was super, super entertaining. I definitely learned a lot. Yep. Certainly a lot more about you. And hope that everybody was enjoying this episode as well. As always, subscribe and hit the bell icon. Doesn't cost you a dime, but it definitely helps us to get more guests on board.
Hit
and
the
bring
icon,
more episodes. Exactly. Hit the icon. And until next time, we salute you.
Cheers.
Cheers.